because it was shot in Vancouver, and I auditioned for it there. I think it's interesting that the strength of Battlestar Galactica, one of the huge strengths of it, especially when it first burst upon the scene, was the skill and experience of the cast, but the anonymity of the cast was one of its strong points. I was telling someone earlier that at the very beginning of the mini-series, when Ryan Reynolds played the old man at the Armistice Station, and the Cylons haven't been to the Armistice Station for 40 years, and you can see him getting ready to leave, and you hear this noise, and he looks up, and there's this incredible creature in a red dress walking down the hallway, and we all just go, what the frack is happening here? Of course, we don't know the word frack yet, but we don't know this actor. I mean, if it had been J-Lo or someone playing this part, you would have went, oh wow, J-Lo looks fantastic, what's she doing in this show, or whatever. But the fact that you knew no one knew Micheal Hogan, you knew the character of Saul Tighe, you knew all of these characters as opposed to actors. The only people that you would have known are Edward James Olmos, and I mean, look at his pedigree, and Mary McDonald, and of course, Eddie is a dama anyway, so.
So we'll go to our first question. On the left side, we've got a question from Ron.
Wait, your mic's not on.
Is that better?
There you go.
Perfect. So last year, Douglas was here, and he said how the producers on his show, The Bridge, were somewhat dismissive of his role in Battlestar Galactica, saying that it was a second-rate science fiction show on a third-rate network. Have you ever run into something like that? And if so, can we get names and addresses? For letters, of course, for letters.
I've run into exactly the opposite, so again.
I've never, ever heard anything like that. Like, no, I mean, the word about Battlestar has just been, it's an amazing show, and it raised the bar for the Sci-Fi Network in terms of production and type of shows that they're looking to produce and producing. So, you know, there's always one rotten apple that you know, it's going to take a whole lot of rotten apples to destroy Battlestar. I mean, it's not going to happen.
And that's really true. It really did put sci-fi on the map, didn't it? You know, it was their first really big production.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of their other shows had won a Peabody Award or had gotten these kinds of awards, but it did change the tone of the body of work at Sci-Fi.
So on the right-hand side over here, we've got Aaron with a question. Aaron?
We were wondering if Mike's going to do a voice for Mass Effect 3.
I am going to do a voice in Mass Effect 3. A few weeks ago, the Canadian Video Game Awards was held in Vancouver, and I gave out the final award, the Video Game of the Year, and I got to present it to Mass Effect 2, which was pretty cool. I'm going to do the next Fallout too. I don't know, because I did Fallout New Vegas. I don't know what
So on the left side, we've got a question from Jim.
Hello. You guys share a pretty intense scene where Colonel Ty has to kill his own wife. And I was wondering, how do you prepare for something like that?
How did you prepare for that? You just took it, I guess.
I'd like to hear from you.
That was a very difficult scene to do. But emotionally a very difficult, obviously a very difficult scene to do. Technically a very difficult scene to do, because one thing that you don't see when you're watching a television show is all the technical things that go on while you're shooting a film. There's the camera, there's the lights, there's the setup, and it takes an awful long time for a show of the quality of Battlestar Galactica to adjust the lights and to get the set ready. So you go in for blocking, and you figure out and put tape marks on the floor of where people are going to be, and you run the scene once unless you have to work on it. And this one was pretty straightforward. So we rehearsed it, and and she did that. That was her marks. And then I went back to my trailer, and I'm the easiest man in Canada to get along with, but whenever they came to my trailer and brought me to set and they weren't ready, I had to say, you know what, man, when you are absolutely ready, call me out of the set, onto the set. I will not go onto that set. I'll walk right off if you're not absolutely ready to roll the cameras. Because you can't think of anything but what you were doing. There is a wonderful Canadian artist called Lorena McKinnon that's got an album called Elemental. And on that album, Cedric Smith sings a version of Carrick Fergus. And I played that over and over and over again in my trailer. And we did the scene. And I killed her.
That was
It wasn't easy to kill.
No, it wasn't easy to kill, apparently. That was a really hard day. It's funny, I don't remember anybody around us at all. And I remember, I mean, the whole technical stuff that he talked about, and you walk and you walk through the scene, you sit, you look, and this is what it's going to be. And I don't remember any of that. I was vibrating so much, and I was just in this cocoon. And it's like Michael says, you don't want somebody to say, you're ready, we're ready for you, we're ready for you, not, we're ready for you. You don't want anybody to mess with this preparation that's going on in this moment that you don't want to overplay, and you just want to trust your environment and your actor. And we were so, I don't know, woven together energetically as actors and characters that we just had to say the words, really. I mean, it's...
We're lucky on Battlestar. Battlestar Galactica was like a movie that took us 5 years to shoot. It wasn't like an episodic television show. And we had the same crew with us for 5 years. And that is an absolute gift. And we had the same post-production people with us for 5 years. So everybody was knew exactly what they're doing by the time we hit that part in season 3.
Yeah, thank God. Although we had a different director for that. We had the first time. Yes, and he was wonderful, but I'm thinking, who is this man? In my final moment, literally. And I felt really freaked out by that. And it was interesting how that informed my anxiety as Ellen. And I knew in my threading mind as an actress that, you know, I'm going to use this. And I'm not an intellectual actress, you know, I'm very much more of a feeling thing, but it's like all my synapses were firing that day. And this was such an important scene. And you never know how it's going to look when you're filming it. You hope and you pray that what you want is being conveyed and that it stays in the scene. It's not on the editing floor. But I was really pleased. It was the hardest thing to play. just like to unzip and yet really remain contained at the same time and dignified. And
You did.
I'm disappointed in your man.
We can talk about this scene all day. What else?
Just dump the cut and run away with me.
As a follow-up, did you know you were going to come back?
No. Well, no, the thing is that Ron and David said that I would come back in a few sequences, dream sequences, but I had no idea. There was no thought in my head that I would ever return as a Cylon. And at that point, I don't think there was the notion of a fifth Cylon even. It was just a Cylon.
Well, an interesting thing about your character is that when you first came on, everybody thought you were a Cylon.
Right.
And then they all kind of forgot about that. And, so that was cool. We have another question on the left side from Sean.
Nathan, actually.
Oh, Nathan. Never mind, Nathan.
This question is for Michael. Michael, first let me say that yours is my favorite character of the Battlestar series. I love.
Thank you.
I love the struggle that your character goes through. You know, fighting with the drinking, fighting to be the best officer that he can be, and struggling the whole way. That conflict makes him one of the most human characters of the series, I thought. And then obviously he goes and we find out that he's actually a Cylon. I was just wondering, was it easier? Like, what was the transition of going from a human to a Cylon? Was it easier to be Saltai after you knew you were a Cylon, or while you still thought that you were human?
I can't say it was easier. To start with, I had no idea that this was coming up, that I was going to be one of the final five. And in fact, nobody did. Of course, the network, Ron and David and the folks didn't tell any of us who was going to be the final Cylons. And shortly before, I guess it was the next script coming up on set, and by that time we were getting the scripts pretty late. So Eddie almost won. There was, because we were always messing around on set saying, "Ooh, you're the next Cylon," and Eddie almost kept going on. And finally I said, Eddie, just knock it off, man. Like, it started out as funny, but it was not funny anymore. And then he said, Michael Reimer was on set when I said, knock it off, man. And Reimer said to me, "Hogan, has Ron Moore talked to you?" And I said, "Shut up, Reimer, now you're in on this." And he said, "No, you should have a talk with Ron." Ron Moore's a class act. He flew up to Canada and we talked. And I disagreed vehemently. I thought it was a cheap idea. I thought it was sensationalist. Someone had told me that they had been on the net prior to that, and the fans were there was a poll of every actor that had ever been on Battlestar Galactica, no matter how small or big a role, their likelihood of being a Cylon, and Saltai, he was not the last, he was the second to last. And I thought, you're doing this just for the surprise factor. And I really disagreed. But we have been doing this for a number of years now. And any time that I didn't agree with something that came up, a good example is at the end of season 2, when Saltai is sent down to the planet. When I read that script, I said, there is no way Saltai would leave the ship and go down to the planet. He is a career soldier, and that is his job, and he's got no interest in being down on the planet. And I happened to, actually, just because I'm a research junkie, I just happened to be in the middle of a book that had just been published called Seize the Fire. And it was about the British Navy in the time of the Battle of Trafalgar. And I was amazed at how that period of time and our life on the Battlestar Galactica, how similar they were. And at that time, the ships leave port in England, the warships.